Well, hello. So, I don't have much battery on the phone right now, but um, I just went in to get the boxes ready to sort stuff out, and I was going to sort a bunch of stuff out in front of you, but there's so much stuff. I've only got a little bit of it uh, in the new storage, and I mean, it's amazing. uh, Tons of yarn, and this lady could really crochet. I'll show you some of the pieces that are in there. They're amazing. From animals to looks like doll clothes, just amazing. But the yarn, I've got some yarn, and I like to do crocheted bathing suits and stuff like that. And I've been considering doing the big capes and stuff because they're like really in style right now. And the 60s, 70s style floor length, like cape jackets. But it takes so much time, and I really don't have the time to do that. It's fun to do, but I just don't have that kind of time. Um, and so uh, there's just tons of yarn so far, and I'm sure there's tons more. Um, and so I've got to sort it all out because I'll sell all that and get it gone. And it should probably go pretty quick to somebody who really likes to knit and crochet. And I was looking at prices today over at Walmart, and like a lot of those rolls that she's got look like Walmart rolls, and they're like $7.95 each. So it might get interesting. Take them and put them in a big lot that'll fit in a box, and then ship it like that. And uh, it'll probably do okay. Hopefully, it'll sell right away. Um, give them a real good price and let them pay the shipping and roll with it. And then uh, there's some like Tupperware, Rubbermaid stuff, whatever it is, Tupperware. And that stuff sells real well right now. People are really into that. I was never real big on Tupperware because, like, all my mother's relatives, everybody had miles and miles of Tupperware. They did Tupperware parties, and it was like Tupperware, and then the laundry soap company, and Mary Kay, and uh, everybody was into all that stuff. Avon, all that. And this lady did Avon. It looks very much like she sold Avon at one point because there's a ton of Avon bags. I think everybody sold Avon. Avon's terrible. It's cheap, junky stuff, and most of our clones are real sucky. But that the specialty items that they make, the little porcelain things and stuff like that, um, are really pretty. And if you're a seller, you get like a discount or stuff that's closing out that they're not going to sell anymore. They sell it dirt cheap, so you want to order like all of it because it's like pennies on the dollar, and you just end up buying so much of that junk that you just you're the biggest buyer. You know what I mean? And so uh, I did it twice years ago, and um, uh, it's a bad thing to get into. But anyway, there's some Avon stuff in there that I found so far, like body sprays and stuff like that. And the bad thing about perfume is it doesn't last for years. And I'm not sure exactly how old a lot of that stuff is. There's a lot of receipts and things, so I have to go through that. There are receipts for the jewelry. She was a very avid buyer of something that was like a home shopping club kind of thing that you watch on TV, and you buy stuff. And she didn't buy just like one piece at a time, she bought like multiple pieces. And so I saw some earrings that matched an order form the other day, and all this stuff looks like cheap costume jewelry to me, but I haven't had a chance to seriously look at it like with a magnifying glass, see if there's markings or anything. But the receipts should tell enough because one of them said a lot of the pieces were sterling, um, And I mean, if they are in fact real solid sterling, not sterling plate, they're a little more valuable. But I mean, jewelry is terrible to sell on eBay. Now, in my business, dress and showgirls, I sell jewelry all day long. That's just an extra thing. And if they don't buy clothes, they'll buy jewelry. And so yeah. But anyway, so uh, there was a lot. I'd say 90% of the jewelry in the jewelry boxes, all the little gift boxes from this home shopping network, whatever it was, has been stolen. So I find boxes all over the place, and some have a piece of jewelry in it, some don't. But I'm saving all of them so I can go through it all, and and then I'm gonna put the receipts with it too, so I can research that later. I want to get the better stuff to sell right away and get it moved out, because that's the biggest thing is get it going. I don't want to be housing the stuff. There's a lot of stuff. And oddly enough, it's not one of the storages like I've normally got that I used to buy at another complex a lot. And uh, because that, it was like gloves and Lysol and hefty bags and trash, 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 and drugs and garbage and all kinds of terrible stuff. And and lots and lots and lots of clothes to wash. Because if I knew what I knew now about used clothes on eBay, I would have never donated all those clothes that I washed and donated it to, Waterfront Mission and the two other places, and because I could have made a lot of money on it. And they don't want to take it unless you wash it first. So you have to wash it, and it costs huge money to wash stuff. So anyway, I haven't run into a whole lot of clothes yet. The boxes have pretty much all been gone through. I don't know how much have not been gone through. Somebody got to those storages, and when the family came down recently, they were given the keys and everything when the lady passed away, and they just kind of walked out there, opened the two units, and kind of went, no, we don't want any of it. What can we do? So they didn't even want it. So I don't know who went through the storages, if it was the former people that were working at the storage company that no longer worked there, or if it was somebody that got a hold of her keys while she was away, because she went like in a nursing home for like a month to rehab, because she had hip surgery, and she didn't make it. She last 30 days in a nursing home, and she's in her like late 80s. So and apparently had a big house in Virginia, and then had a house in Florida as her vacation house, and she had come down here, um, and never left. Um, and so the stuff that apparently was in the storages was stuff she moved from Virginia. Um, and maybe she had planned on buying a big house or something here too. You know, I don't know. Uh, bad time, since the pandemic, because buying a house is a little high still. It's not as bad as during the pandemic. During the pandemic, everything went crazy. It went 3 and 4 times the price for real estate, and everybody was selling everything they owned just to get that money. I even know a couple people ended up without a house because they couldn't even turn around and buy a house because they were all huge money. They were like, "Man, I sold my house for all this money, but now I have no place to live." Um, so anyway, and I do not fancy doing this stuff in the heat. I did that before, and I said I would not do that again. And it just takes a lot out on you. But if I wasn't working at all, I would have all the time in the world to get this stuff run out and whatever furniture I run across and all that. I can't see a lot of furniture yet, because everything's just been thrown around, tossed around, and all that. Um, and so I don't know, if there's a lot of furniture in there. There's something that I thought was maybe like an EDJ thing, but I'm thinking it's a bed frame. And then another thing that matches it and looks handmade, that looks like maybe a small bookcase. But I've got a friend that is buying a house and has kids and may be interested in those pieces. And they live close by, so I talked to them yesterday, and so they might be interested. Um, I don't, want to try to get as much out of there as I can so I can access everything else. I bring a bunch of rat poison up there tomorrow, um, and so I can make sure that these suckers die as I'm emptying this stuff out, and I don't run across any, um, because there's evidence of mice, and also that's been locked up supposedly for like 7.5 years, although someone's gone through it. Now that the storage company had this thing, and I did that before too, out in Alabama, where I rented from a company, and you had to buy their lock for like $30, and then they had to have a key, and you had to have a key, and that was the strangest thing. I've never heard of that, but that's the way they operate. I don't like that at all. I don't think anybody should have keys to your storage but you. And that's what they did at this one complex. That's no longer done, because another company bought it, I guess, and so they want nothing to do with that. So it's possible the people that worked there were going through the unit. Um, so I don't know. Uh, to me, it looks like somebody was doing it at night where they couldn't see good, because a lot of the jewelry boxes were dropped in the floor around other stuff, and if they could see good, they wouldn't have dropped all that in the floor, because some of them still had jewelry in them in the floor. hmm So I don't know. Um, but I found a lot of very interesting things, a lot of resale stuff in there. Um, and I just don't know what else is in there. But to really go through it and stuff, I'm relocating it because it's too hot. So what I'm doing is sorting stuff into boxes and containers. There's plenty of them there, and transporting them to a new unit, and which is um, uh, I got an air conditioned one, which is it's costly, but um, for this weather right now, that's my best option. And so that way I can sort and go through it and YouTube it for you guys. Um, and then it'll be easier on my health and my well-being, because the heat is wretched. Now the other day when I was up there working on those two units, it was plowing down rain all of a sudden. I was so excited, and they told me in advance, it's storming big time over there. I'm like, God, that's great. And it's like, why? So because it'll knock the heat down, and that's better for me, because it's grotesque hot. And I mean, I'm only in the front of these storages. I can't even walk into them. You know what I mean? So, once you start going in there deep, then it's going to start getting hot. But I've got a long way to go. My biggest option is to try to get the the other unit emptied out as much as possible, so I don't get caught paying storage on the two. Because I have a feeling I'm going to get stuck with the one with the piano in it for a minute. Um, because I have to work, so I can't be there all the time to move all that stuff and sort it. And I'm certainly not moving it with mice in it or if snakes are in there or anything else. So I literally have to go through everything and put it into another container or box before I move it. So I'm just, transferring the stuff and, anything that's spilled or broken or whatever, you know, there's some broken stuff um, for whatever reason from people going through it or whatever. Um, and so I have access to trash to empty it too, which is nice. But I want to, just want to sort it quickly into another, box or container and load it up because no sense in sorting it there because I'd have to sort it again before I move it. I thought about that the other day. I said, well, I got to take these two after I sorted them because no sense in leaving them here. Because, I already sorted them out and I know there's not, any mice or snakes in there. So, yeah. So it just has to be done each one at a time till I fill it up and go. So I did two trips the other day. Um, but I was working on the piano, dusting it off and stuff for a while during the storm. So that took some of my time. And I sweep the floors as I go because it's really dirty and dusty because it's been closed up, for 7.5 years. So everything, gets blown in to the unit. And I can't stand walking on the dirty floors, and I don't want to miss anything because, like, there's jewelry in the floors and all kinds of stuff. But haven't found any like landmark jewelry that I know of yet. I don't know. I've found tons and tons, but I venture to say it's costume stuff. I don't know. But uh, anyway, so what I'm doing is at the new unit, I'm sorting out like one whole box is going to be jewelry. There's so much of this stuff. And then another box will be like Christmas stuff. There's a bunch of brand new Christmas stuff's never even been used. I'll sell that out too. Um, all that crochet and knitting yarn, still brand new. Um, Tons of that so far. At least two big plastic totes worth at this point of yarn, and I'm sure there's way more. Um, I sew, so I have a lot of sewing stuff, and I've always had like a sewing room. Um, but uh, you know, this lady was an avid crocheter. Now she did have a sewing machine. There are some pieces of fabric and some thread that's brand new and all that I will just keep because it'll just go with my sewing stuff. But the old machine from Montgomery Ward's, I'll list that for sale. And somebody will probably want it that rebuilds machines and all that. Because the wires are dried out on it. I wouldn't sew with it unless I replaced the wiring and stuff. But, there's somebody out there that likes that old stuff. I mean, what I would give to have my mother's sewing machine, okay? And it was a beautiful singer. And I think it was Slandomatic 401. And I've run across two in my lifetime. And I should have bought one of them. It was just mint. And what a fantastic machine that was. It did embroidery and all kinds of cool stuff. But Singer's a really good product anyway. But anyway, so there's tons of stuff. Uh, I would be really excited to see a straight line or a zigzag or a commercial in there, but I don't know if that'll happen because mine was stolen. Um, but uh, yeah, there's lots of stuff. God, the air smells like bubble gum all of a sudden. That is so weird. But anyway, it must be something I cook in a restaurant or something. Smell like bubble gum. But anyway, so there's some books, and they're all in very nice condition. There's a really big, nice book, like coffee table book. It's real neat. Um, so there's lots of stuff to list for sale. I just hope there's not like a ton of furniture in there. I'm thinking there's not, but it's hard to say. Uh, there's a big leather cushion, beautiful emerald green leather cushion that obviously goes to some kind of chair, and it's pretty decent. It needs to be conditioned, but it's nice, and so we'll see what that is supposed to be. Um, but heat is hard on things like interiors of cars and upholstery and stuff. It melts the foam. It does a lot of stuff. Um, so I don't know what kind of condition that stuff's in. Because being in a storage unit that can get over 200 degrees in the heat down here um, is not a good thing. It's bad on shoes and a lot of things. But um, the humidity is good for the piano, though. um, so I'm gonna. I dusted the piano off the other day, and I'm gonna try to polish it up a little bit tomorrow, um, so it'll keep it preserved. And then I'll probably bring one of my vacuums up in and vacuum the inside of it out and stuff. Um, but I need to sell the piano. I really do. I just can't pay to house it, and I really don't want to pay to move it. It's really a big deal to move them. It's you're talking like $400 or $500 usually to get a proper service to move it. Um, that's why people give pianos away so much because it, it costs so much to have them moved. There was a beautiful automated player piano, old antique upright, that looks just like the one in Dahlonega, and it had plexiglass on the front. You put a quarter in, and it would play, and it kind of light up, and it was a gorgeous thing. It was like all covered in plexiglass, and it looks just like that. And the other day, it was listed for free on the internet for sale. It was like if you would pick it up, and it's like, man, it sure looks like that one out of that place. Um, but again, moving a piano is treacherous. It's better to get real piano movers if you can, because they start at 500 pounds and go up, and some of them can be way over 1,000 pounds. And it's because of the I guess the iron that they make the harp out of inside. Um, I think it's iron they use, especially in the older ones. Um, so it's super heavy, and and then to tune one up, I think it's around $200 to have somebody come and tune it up. I remember my aunt Roseanne had a guy come out and tune up the player piano she had at the house, and uh, it was probably like 70s or 80s piano, and it was mint condition, just mint. And um, she got mad because I would play it and stuff, and then and so she said, "Well, I'm just going to call the guy and have him come out and tune it up and all that," because she wanted it perfect. But I like that old sound, and I don't mind a few keys out and a little bit off key. Um, I can play right over it because I'm used to playing my grandfather's piano. When I was a kid, and it was ancient old Chicago upright, and and it looked almost black. Eh, Boy, that thing was amazing. But yeah, so lots of work to do. I've got the day off tomorrow, um, and gonna go for it again. Um, and it's a ways to drive, and it's like 20 in gas each time I go out there. So I'm trying to get this stuff done. I've got a 14-day layover on these units, but after that I'll have to rent them. So I'm going to try to get at least one empty, so I don't have to pay more storage. And I'm not exactly sure how much those run out there. I understand they're cheaper than what I'm paying for my units, um, but I'm not sure. So yeah, So I've knocked all storages down to cut back costs. Now I'm all storage back up. But if the piano were to sell, um, that would be very profitable. And I think the first thing I would do is get a hotel for about a month. Um, Real estate is dropping now, and in the next 2 years will be very good for buying real estate because it'll be a little bit more to the norm. I have a funny feeling real estate's going to seriously crash like it did in '05, but I don't know. So, but that's what I would like to do right away. If I could make the sale on that piano, um, the first thing I would do is get a hotel. I am just so tired of the heat and everything else. I want to get some decent rest, like a whole 8 hours sleep a night, um, and um, have heat and air and all that good stuff. So, and I'd like to make some faux soup. Yes, which I can do like with my car pipe. But anyway, so uh, we'll see how it goes. But that's what's up at this point. Um, so I'm gonna start getting real tight. I rented not a real big storage. Both those units are 10 by 20. But I started with kind of a small unit for the minute, and then when I fill that up, then I'll go into renting another unit or try to work out of the unit with the piano in it. Um, I don't want to pay those 2 units up there. If I have to pay one, that's way better than paying the two. But I've got to get it sorted and moved ASAP to save on the costs and stuff. And this stuff's got to be listed. And you can't buy it if they can't see it. So, um, I guess it's kind of unfortunate that I'm working, because if I wasn't working, I could knock out the furniture in 3 days and get all the other stuff rolling and stuff. So, but I'm not sure of everything that's in those 2 units. There's some cleaning supplies. Um, I've got one power tool so far. I don't know if that power tool was there, or they brought it because they were trying to drill out a safe that might be in there. I have never run across any safes yet in storages. I know somebody who ran into 2 or 3. Um, but I don't know. But I can sell that tool. It's a cordless skill drill thing. I can sell it online too. I'm not a fan of cordless. I just am not. Um, I like a gas weed eater. I like a gas hedge trimmer. I don't like electric yard tools or mowers. Um, and I'm not a big fan of power tools that are cordless. One, the batteries don't last long. They go like 20 minutes. And you know, if I'm swinging a hammer doing something, it's going to take longer than that. So, but there is evidence of a stolen circular saw. They left a box behind. I thought it was um, like a big, uh, like a tree saw or something, but it's not. So they left the case behind. But then again, it could be in that unit. It's just the case is empty. So I don't know. It really makes me feel like somebody went through them and like took all the stuff to the pawn shop or whatever, just to make some quick dope money or something. So anyway, we'll see um, where we're at. But again, it's not one of those where you have 10 tons of trash and 10 tons of dirty clothes or anything like that. That's nice. And there's not, crack pipes all over and all that crap. There's lots of pill bottles because of her health and stuff. And the dates are really old. I mean, it's like, from like 2007 and stuff like that. Um, and I'm sure that was for different ailments she had. So, I have to dispose of all that properly, so nobody gets to it. Because one, it's expired, and two, it's drugs, so it does have to be disposed of. But uh, yeah, so it's interesting. Now the piano's interesting because you're they have apparently they made a law about ivory so that they could preserve the elephants or something. And there's some stuff said on the internet about ivory keyed pianos, which obviously this one's going to have ivory keys unless they're replaced. But uh, they say it's not like you can pull the ivory off the keys and make necklaces out of it or something. Um, but the thing is that you couldn't like take the keys and sell them separate from the piano because it's against the law or something. I don't know if it's in the United States or other places or what it is exactly, but I've noticed it on the internet. People were asking that question, you know. So that you can sell the piano intact with ivory keys. You just can't part it out and sell the keys separate because it's illegal. So if you ever run across an old piano and you think it might have ivory keys, now I'm not sure if this one does or not. I'm sure the one my grandfather had ivory keys. Hello, hello. Who is this? I can't see it. But you have to be very careful. You have to sell the whole piano all together. You can't like take all the keys off and sell it separate because it's illegal. So yeah. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I'd love to keep the piano. I would, but I've got no place to put it. It's just senseless to keep it in storage um, and pay rent on storage to house that piano. I mean, there's lots of pianos in the world, so that's not the only one. It's a majestic thing. It's grand. My ultimate smells quiche. I think I have a what? I'm trying to see what this says. Let's see. This person is nasty that's making comments on here. This is not a sex channel, so don't be trying to sell your buns on my channel or talk nasty, explicit stuff because this is a family channel. So if you can't respect that, then you need to remove yourself. Thank you. Looks like they bailed out. Oh, those were some really foul messages. Man, don't you guys have something better to do? Jeez. But anyway, so got lots to do tomorrow. It's so hot, man. It's just been rough. Really rough. And the pollen in my eyes all the time. Ugh. A lot of pollen. But anyway, so I just thought I'd give you guys an update, and I have more for you tomorrow. And I will catch you in the next one. I love you. Do something kind for a stranger. See you in the next one.